A further theory is that perhaps ghosts and entities of the spirit world, which may occupy the same speculative terrain as a divine otherness, have a part to play in the fall of the cards. Perhaps it is all of these, or none of these, or strange combinations and concatenations of influences that we cannot easily apprehend. In the end, we can only use metaphors and gesture towards an otherness which reveals glimpses of itself, but which ultimately we cannot reduce to the limitations of finite cognition. In this respect, the terror will probably always remain exterior to the horizons of comprehension. Signifying only enigmatically in a blinking torsion or twisting of meaning in and out of our quotidian lives. The problem with this could be, again, whether or not your purpose is analysis for the sake of analysis, or analysis for the sake of the most effective and efficient way for, or with an H, or HR, to be happy, which the most manageable thing is with respect to others, the most effective and efficient way for me to be happy, up to me, for you to be happy, up to you, for the most effective and efficient way for you to be happy, for one to be happy, for each one to be happy. The most effective and efficient way for each one of us to be happy, to be well. The most effective and efficient way for each one of us to be well. Now, the problem with using the word well instead of happy is that, well, yeah, we could say wellness, but wellness, again, mm, uh, it's one of those moments when I don't like my voice. That was one of the moments when I don't like my voice. Okay, for other theory, for more theories on how terror works, including mine, Donna, in the comment section, see the Marvel series of interviews conducted by James Radcliffe here. Link. Give it a try, be surprised. I think I linked there, but right now I still want to talk with you, so I'm going to stick to your blogs. Fun, how to do a tarot reading. Okay, let's try again. Before we do that though, let's see if we can easily find yours and the here link. Unless it's the one that I've already seen and wrote you that I appreciated so much. Is it the same link to that long comment, or? Yeah, I think that's, yeah. I read this before, loved it. It's one of the things that I told you it's one of the two things that I was interested in the most. The cards cannot speak without us. The tarot, these are your words, Donna. The cards cannot speak without us. It's the conclusion of the entry that you made in James Rickleffe, Ricklef, How Does Tarot Work, Part 2. Okay, this is your conclusion. The cards cannot speak without us. The tarot works through an intrication of the human and a radical otherness, or the auspices of a universe which provides glimmers of itself here and there. Lovely words. Now then, fun. How to do a tarot reading. So if we were in that mall store that I was describing, this probably would say something like, if, for example, we were to go with Next Gen Tarot, how to do a Next Gen card reading, or how to. It would probably not be the primary. The primary thing would probably be what to do, uh, what you can do. What can you do with Next Gen cards? Anything you want, games, design them, etc., etc. In terms of this self-help, which would need to use different terminology in terms of achieving your desires in reality, get what you want, or yeah, there would have to be a better phrase for that. But okay, how to do a tarot reading? This is a little different and overlapping, of course, my Next Gen Tarot approach with what you got here and the currently conventional tarot readings. So there you are, struggling to do the right thing, perhaps lost, wrestling with a decision, not sure of your relationships, anxious. What do you do? That's a great phrase. What do you do? And I love that picture. Let's take another screenshot. I'm taking a ton of screenshots this time. What do you do? Probably be a good idea to throw a Next Gen card in here. And I think I know which. Let's just take it and throw it in there. And to be safe, let's throw in Robocop and Robocop with the let's make a magenta background. call this what do you do? Am I recording right now? What I'm doing is I'm aligning an error so that, anyway, let's do it this way. I probably want to do it this way. Rotate 180. And do it this way. Works much better that way. Okay. And then sorry, so then I'm gonna put her here. Oh shit, it doesn't say what do you do? Hold on. I thought I grabbed the screenshot of where it says what do you do, but oh yes, yeah, that's fine. Okay, never mind. Almost there. So there you are. How's that? think what we need to do is try it this way. Okay. That should work. And let's also throw this one in there. Okay. This might call for a let's do it that way. Change from 14 to a 21 so that we can put this one here, and also it creates a double size entry. Okay, now bum, 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 bum. Tarot, not tarot. I mean, you know, don't do the tarot reading. What you don't want to hear in your tarot reading. So there you are. Struggling to do the right thing, perhaps lost, wrestling with the decision, not sure of your relationships, anxious. What do? You can't find the answers despite thrashing yourself into miserable, shredded, bitter little bits, checking your horoscope for the yearbook, arranging more yoga classes, rereading your self-help, how to survive life affirmations diary, badgering friends. So, you consult the tarot reader. And you can find it at your local mall. Might not be called. It could be called, instead of a tarot reader, it could be called a next gen or next gen or store OHR. I'm not settled on that term, but it does have its value. Yippee, you receive your reading, you're comfortable, you find a sacred space, you settle down. I thought this is how to do a tarot reading. Oh, this is how to receive a tarot reading. Let me make sure that I'm coming from the right link. Okay, I was wanting to come from how to do a tarot reading. So you click there, and yeah, it says how to do a tarot reading, but then it switches to how not to do a tarot reading. Okay, so yes, we're at the right page. So you go from how to do a tarot reading to what you don't want to hear in your tarot reading. Okay, so you receive your reading, you get comfortable, you find a secret space, settle down. Very excellent. It works. I mean, it also has value how you're doing this. You settle down and breathe. You're both apprehensive and well, you read it at the end, you're absolutely none the wiser. Read more. This is from January 16th, 2014. You receive your reading. Okay. You have just trawled through empty sentiment. where are we at on the recording? 2015. Okay. Counting views, assignment criteria. You've just trawled through empty sentiment. And it's 1027. Counting views. I'm sorry, 20 was, I have all the pieces of my puzzle. I often get them mixed up. 1027 CET. 127 wheat Pacific daytime. I have all the tools. 27 is, of course, if you talk to me, really open your eyes. 10 is I'm counting views. We haven't done the 2016 or 224, so 24. Oh, we just switched to 28 as I'm examining my mirror. 24, I describe whatever you like. 2. Donna, in case you haven't learned these. I'll know when I'm alone. 24 plus 2 is 26. We already have the best key. 2016 is a 6 or a 9. 6 is, it's a big world. 9 is I practiced. The sprinkling between the 24 and the 2016 would be either a 30, I did my work, or the 33, I decide having gone through 31s. 3, 30 plus 3. But 24 plus 2 is 26 plus 6. So we got a double on the 2 because 26 plus 6 is 32. So we got, I like priestess 2, I'll know when I'm alone, and 5. 35 equals 5. 30 plus 5. The high priest, the hierophant, everything creates records. But so let's, 22, I know when I'm alone. 29, Cheng, my 1029, my mind and my heart celebrate cake. Anyway, the main number for the day is 5 or the 2 in terms of day, month, year. 5 I know or the 2. Everything creates records. I know when I'm alone. You have just trawled through empty sentiment. I know where I'm alone. I know when I'm alone. You've gotten your reading. You're absolutely none yet. You've gotten in your reading 5. Everything creates records. But now 2. I know when I'm alone. You've just trawled through empty sentiment, platitudes, statements so obdurately self-evident and obvious they would bounce off the walls. Observations so general they would apply to anybody, and probably also animal, mineral, vegetable, and the resident house spider, plus advice to find your own answers. Well, ain't that just great? Cup of tea would have done a better job and you wouldn't feel cheated and insulted. Or only if you bought value extra budget tea at Happy Pennywise Shopper. Trust me on that. Here are some examples of what you don't want to hear. I've seen every one of these terms or phrase given by quote-unquote psychics and various tarot professionals, sometimes with qualifications: Grandmaster of the Universe Expert, big-time tarot counselor and specialist, accredited by Little Bog Tarot Circle, director of Fanny Butt Wainwright, room 3A nursing home. Dear Bob, thank you for asking me about your office romance with Francine. You ask, how can I convince Francine I'm the love of her life when she doesn't know I exist? First, Bob, in my humble opinion, and not to beat around the bush, in my experience of such questions, you do need a tarot reading. As you requested a tarot reading, so this is all within quotes, so this is from one of the tarot experts talking to Bob. So, as you have requested a tarot reading, this is an excellent and well started start. You cannot move on in life if you do not make a start. I could not have advised anything better or more positive and proactive. New beginnings are always a new adventure. Your first card is the Ace of Wands. As an ace, it may hold an unexpected future. This will fill you with hope. Your first card is the Ace of Wands. As an ace, it may hold an unexpected future. Of course, the fundamentals about Next Gen Tarot is that if somebody comes to you and you ask, and they ask you, how can I convince Francine I'm the love of her life when she doesn't know I exist? I'd say, well, you might want to think about a card that represents you happy about Francine. because with the benefit of hindsight, for you to be happy with about Francine might mean that you realize that Francine is not the right person for you. Even better could be a card that represents you happy and about you happy about uh, your most important relationship, and or you happy about your most important relationships if you want this relationship to be important. Or it could be that you just whatever, or you could go with you a card that represents you happy about your relationship with your boyfriend or girlfriend. Of course, the top card of the pyramid is the card represents you happy. And in the process, for example, if you do want to be with, if you come to the conclusion that it's safe to assume that you want to have a relationship with Francine, whether you want it to be a lifelong lasting relationship or um, um, the casual, fun, friends with benefits relationship, or whatever it is that you decide that would be good for you, that you've realized that it would be good for you, then maybe you could have an step card for you happy about Francine on Tuesdays, because on Tuesdays Francine has a soccer meet and this meet and so on and so forth, and that is the problem that you're having the most that you've identified. And then it could be, so you can do many cards all the way to the pressure in your in the in your tires, whether it's a bicycle or a moped or an SUV or whatever, to again the top of the pyramid, if you will, or the foundation or the base of your life. You happy, but because you're asking about Francine and it's about the love of that you want to be the love of her life, you could go with the card that represents you happy with your most important relationship, or you happy with your love life or something like that. If you're focused on Francine, again, you happy about Francine, because ultimately you want to be happy. And I'm the first one to say that, not having someone to be happy with, I would prefer that it was, maybe several important relationships, all open book. But you want to be happy about Francine. So if I had to cut it short, I'd say you want to do a card that represents you happy about Francine. So anyway, we've got what I believe, Donna, you consider the platitudes, which, however, could be, standard operating procedure. But anyway, so your first card, about being proactive, new beginnings. It's good to ask the question. Okay, your first card is the Ace of Wands. As an ace, it may hold an unexpected future. This will fill you with hope, I hope. And before we have even begun, you are blessed. What a wonderful and spiritually uplifting start, Bobby. I trust you will already be feeling reassured of your inner wisdom. Your deep self is awakened already and ready to go. All you have to do, things such as deep self is capitalized, Ace of Wands is capitalized, of course, Bobby is capitalized, so this uses rather, this is conventional standards in this context. So your deep self is awakened already and ready to go. All you have to do is listen. The answers are within. There may be platitudes, but there are also valuable platitudes. Of course, your premise, Donna, here is that this person has already gone through all of this. He's read this 1,000 times. He wants effective and efficient answers. So there's two sides of this coin. Don't ignore this inner voice, because maybe again, just forgive me for being the devil's advocate, but maybe the person, the Grandmaster Tarot reader that's saying this is not assuming that Bob has already been frustrated with already having gone through all the processes that he's gone through and having encountered what you refer to as the platitudes. Um, uh, so, and of course, there's obviously the first paragraph and a half at least are something that are almost a form letter where you can just insert Bob, which has a practical use to it, arguably. So your deep self, you have to listen. The answer is when. Don't ignore this inner voice. Be open. You might want to find yourself by communing with your soul. Porpoise. Silly me. Rob, I mean purpose. Soul purpose. All we have, but it's capitalized on the porpoise too. All have, we all have one, even if we don't know what it is. Although dolphins are amazing creatures. Communing with your soul purpose will help you to manifest the answers you need to move your orifice romance forward. Your orifice romance forward. That's not a. Anyway, the Ace of Wands tells you to remember that you are a spiritual being with energetically aligned goals. In this case, it is Francine. This truth you already know. As I said, you may trust your inner wisdom. It's important not to ignore your personal self, Bob. That's so important. You must be self-aware if you are to progress. We do not have souls and goals for nothing, although it is also important to remember that however well you know yourself, life is a series of events. Your next card is the Fool reversed. To be frank, Bob, the basic message here is to try not to make an idiot of yourself. This will not impress Francine. Women try to prefer men who are not idiots, even if this is not always successful. Take your time, don't leap before you look. For in this card, the Fool is about to drop off a cliff. Technically, no. Because we do not know, as I've discussed extensively with Marco Nizzoli's Fool card from the Secret Tarot especially, while there's a history of a cliff, the fact of the matter is that for all we know, it's only a 1 foot deep and a 1.5 foot wide gap. Anyway, the tradition and the more typical first semiotic reaction to the Fool card is that, oh, he's going to fall off a cliff. But in order for us to actually know that there's a cliff, the card would have to be of different proportions, and you would have to, in order for him to hurt himself, we would have to know, we would have to see that the height would be at least four or five times his height, and the space to the next rock, if there would have to be a space. Height-wise, as far as length-wise, it would have to be more than he can actually leap from his particular position and posture. I am so anal retentive and annoying. Women try to prefer men who are not idiots, even if this is not always successful. Take your time, don't leap before you look. For in this card, the Fool is about to drop off a cliff. Reversed, he's being tripped up over the edge. If it's reversed, by the way, he can't fall. If the card is reversed, all the more reason to throw the whole thing about he's going to fall off a cliff being reversed. Because if nothing else, we have an or with an H perspective. The whole universe is looking at it. Don't leap before you look, for in this card the Fool is about to drop off a cliff. Reversed, he's being tripped up over the edge by the small dog you see in the card, which I've talked years ago extensively about what is the dog actually doing, and there's different ways that the dog or other animal has been portrayed. I really recommend studying carefully Marco Nizzoli's The Secret Tarot Fool card, with the kind of premises that I've described in terms of, for example, well, anyway, but no, let's focus on this. Yeah, no, let's focus on this. Okay, see the paw, the dog you see in the card. See that paw sweeping at the poor fool's ankle. The dog is a symbol of the inner voice the fool is foolishly ignoring. Dogs are highly symbolic. They can mean trust and loyalty. You need to listen to your inner dog when it barks. I'm sure you already know this is in your deep being, Bod, when you're at rest and not overthinking the situation with Francine. The fool reversed. It's interesting. The porpoise, the symbolic, the bod with the capital B as opposed to Bob, where there are no spelling mistakes, or the ones that seem like they're spelling mistakes, they aren't. Um, of course, Donna, we'd get into authorship and the you know critical theory about authorship. Does authorship exist? Does authorship not exist? Is the text something to be studied devoid of the author and intention and so on and so forth? Okay, when you're at rest and not overthinking the situation with Francine. The fool reversed can also mean you're frightened of your dog. So have courage, Robbie, as it is an inner strength to have courage. Approach Francine, for the fool is a traveler, but be careful of the cliff and her not taking you seriously if you come across as simple or silly. Again, life is full of pitfalls. The fool wants us to be aware of that and of how we are holding our baggages. I would argue that more than holding a baggage is carrying everything that he needs, especially with the Nitzoli card, his hat, his clothing, things that he's got. He's ready for all kinds of weather. Um, uh, and he seems to be carrying enough, arguably. The fool wants us to be aware of that and of how we are holding our baggages. That is because the baggage is a word that could be laden with that carry with something heavy. Arguably, the fool, especially in Nitzoli, Secret Tarot, is actually packed intelligently, minimally, but sufficiently. At any rate, that is the meaning of the knapsack he holds at the end of his rod. It could also be, and we do want to be careful how we're holding what we carry. That is the meaning. It would also be it could also be your past lives in the bag. So watch out for those that can creep into this life, and it's important to be aware of that influence. Both the tarot reader and I are getting into a lot of interpretation here, by the way, and interpretation, as I discussed extensively, is very subjective. The balance, as I always say, is between interpretation and description, and study and reflection, and so on and so forth, and then action with properly aligned priorities. Okay, so watch out for those that can creep into this life, and it's important to be aware of that influence. Otherwise, you will not know what you're doing. This is important for your general spiritual growth too, Bob. Try to be aware of what is happening around you. Your third card is the High Priestess. Hello. This confirms, in my humble but also experienced opinion, that what was previously said about listening to your higher answering self. Just ask it the questions and just ask it the questions and be ready for the answers. Try not to confuse which self is which. The inner one is the one you want. Well, actually, you want the inner, and it's implied. The outer ego one is only the one you think you are, although remember that all is one. The High Priestess is the number 2 in the Tarot Major Arcana or Arcana with various attributions and elemental dignities. Here it clearly means you and Francine. It also means decisions, but you must decide on the best decision. You must decide on the best decision by paying attention to your higher guidance. The High Priestess tells you not to have any dirty little secrets. knob, capital N, and as she and as is she as she is pure and virginal, make sure you're very clean-minded to Francine. Filth will not be acceptable to the high priestess. You should hide secrets like this, Bob, if you do have any. I cannot tell you what they are, as you would need a psychic for that. This is why the high priestess has a big dress. This is your outer appearance. The rest is hidden underneath. But at the black pantyhose, but at the same time, do not let yourself be blinded by the veil of delusion. Remember that dog in your reverse fool. Look around and be perspective. Listen to that inner advice, however loud or soft. It may be a howl, or it may be a whimper, or a very low growl. As long as you act on it, you will be fine. The cosmos will guide you. Have faith. Let yourself bark. Your fourth card, Bob, is at the end of the row and is the possible future of avoidable outcome. It is the Three of Swords. This can mean heartbreak, but only if things go wrong, or if you do not listen to your inner voice and act the fool, which brings together all of our previous cards in one go. You have many hopes, but also many fears. The Three of Swords is a sign. But let me read this again, because I was thinking of something else while I was doing this. Your fourth card, Bob, is at the end of the row and is the possible future or avoidable outcome. So that's at the end of the row. It's a possible future, avoidable, or avoidable outcome. It is the Three of Swords. This can mean heartbreak. So this is the end of the possible future or avoidable outcome. The Three of Swords. This can mean heartbreak, but only if things go wrong, or if you do not listen to your inner voice and act the fool, which brings together all of our previous cards in one go. You have many hopes, but also many fears. The Three of Swords is a sign. It is very symbolic. You have many hopes, but also many fears. The Three of Swords is a sign. It is very symbolic, in many ways with much resonance. Sometimes it predicts bad weather. Here it is also telling you not to think too much, as swords represent reason and the mind, and you mustn't use them to pop the illusion of a potential romance with Francine. If you look at the card, you will see that these swords are stabbing at the heart. This means don't worry. Don't let your brain put you off. So if you look at the card, you will see that these swords are stabbing at the heart. This means don't worry. Don't let your brain put you off. In that sense, this is a very encouraging card. It is telling you exactly what to do, Rob. Do not dither. The Ace of Wands is not a hesitant card, but do not rush in where your angels would fear to tread. Have courage, use your intuition to guide you and give you the answers. Try not to let this end in heartbreak by too much analyzing, but at the same time, don't be impulsive. Life is about balance. You will know what to do to plant the seeds of attraction, which could blossom into a romance and flower into something more, such as appreciation and gratitude for the gift of love. Green lights, Bob. Woohoo! My first take is that the platitudes are good, but at the same time, it isn't all that helpful in the sense that, uh, I mean, either the person is already thinking of all these things, all these different suggestions, or they're not. If they are, in a way, it's a repetition of the complexity of the situation because there's so many sides to everything. So it's a repetition that if the person is not aware that it still has, there's so many sides to everything, which is good to keep in mind, and some of them are specific, but it, it still doesn't quite have a clear and distilled center the way that I approach next gen tarot, which starts with, okay, here's the shorthand. For example, if you get the three instead of the swords, if you get the Empress card, which now is the I decide card, the fact that I have a next gen word that replaces the Empress with the words I decide, then it always has a quick phrase to refer to when you get lost in what does that particular detail in that of that particular pixel in the image mean, which is very worthwhile but can go on forever, which can go forever but is very worthwhile. Having one focal point, which is like, can you say that about yourself? I decide. Because any situation that we're in is ramified and connected to everything else in the universe and our lives, of course. In terms of focus, having one piece of advice that tells you if you want to be happy with Francine, and you get and if the card that says, if the card that represents you happy about Francine is the 3, which used to be the Empress, and which in the next gen tarot the 3 is I decide. I always want you to have a very quick and synthesized, distilled point of reference. Can you look yourself in the mirror and say, I decide, not about Francine, about life in general? If you're already, you can honestly look at yourself and say that I decide reflects you, then you need to look at more of the matters of the card. If it's true that I decide reflects you, that you've got that covered, that reflects who you are, then it's time to start looking at the other elements of the card and where they're different from you and where you're different from them. If on the other hand, the reason I have that focus there of I decide with the number 3 is that you might look at the image of the card and you go, yeah, that image symbolically reflects me, but then you go, wait a second, is it true that I decide? So that is the focal point. It's very important to have a focal point, just like the ancient sailors used the North Star in the northern hemisphere to find their way. The name of the card, which is usually in Next Gen Tarot, is a phrase, or basically a short phrase, is like the North Star to a sailor. If you want to be happy about whatever it is that you gotten the card for, always remember the North Star. And step 1 is, if you're not happy, double check with the North Star. If you're aligned with the North Star, which would be the phrase in the Next Gen Tarot, if you're not happy but you're aligned with the North Star, then you need to start looking at the waves, the rest of the boat, and everything else. Okay. Bob. Okay, here's so here's another reading. It says, Bob, ta for my reading. I'm sure it was very good. Ta for my reading, T-A, capital T, lowercase a. I'm sure it was very good, or you would not be doing this, or be an accredited Ascended Master Spiritual Tarot Counselor, although it did not really help me. Also, this is Bob writing back and saying, I'm sure it was very good, or you, for my TA for my reading. I'm not sure what TA means. Let me look up ta. What does it mean? Ta. Definition. Is this a meme or a term that I'm not familiar with? Oh, it's British. Thank you. Ta-ta. Okay. Ta for my reading. Thank you for my reading. I'm sure it was very good, or you would not be doing this, or be an accredited Ascended Master Spiritual Tarot Counselor, although it did not really help me. I took a direct and masterful approach and enthusiastically went up to Francine's desk with an upright Ace of Wands, as you advised. She squinted at me and said, yeah, I do know who you are. You are the fool with the smut on your computer, which you accidentally emailed too many. quote unquote too many, as in T-O many. The thing is, I'm married. I am broken-hearted. Could I have another reading on how she feels about me, please? Have you encountered unhelpful readings? Share below. Okay. So it sounds like you're focusing. How much time do we got on the? We got 50 minutes. It seems like you're focusing on. Okay, what to do with the reading, what not to do with the reading. Okay. Okay. So am I missing the part where you say what to do with the reading? Let's look. I find this actually very helpful, by the way, very insightful. So I'm not criticizing it by any means. In fact, I find that empowering and enlightening what you did here. You're quoting that reading, but I still am quite curious about. I'm still. Oh God, that's because it's how not to do a tarot reading. I thought the blog was how to do a tarot reading. It says right there. See, I was reading too fast. How not to do a tarot reading. So yeah, that's the title of it. How not to do a tarot reading. So you don't have one for how to do a tarot reading, but you've got card meanings. The Hermit, we've studied that yet. Angels and the tarot cards. Let's look at angels and the tarot cards. Maybe. Let's look at learning tarot. Meditation on Morales tarot, my tarot card reading on missing flight. That's very interesting. I haven't gotten to that one yet. The tarot and New Age concepts. The skeptic and well, your ego. Quick setup guide. Live tarot readings on the tarot. No, sample psychic tarot reading. Sample psychic tarot reading plus how I do my readings and what is intuition. Sample reading for new baby, sample reading for pets, sample reading Celtic Cross. Let's go with because we started this morning with how does the tarot work, and the answers are everywhere. But to get verbal with your verbs, how I do my readings and what is intuition. Let's go with simple psychic tarot reading.